What up, YouTube? This video is taken on this Friday afternoon, December 30th, 2022. Time right now is 4:17 p.m. And I'm doing my New Year's Eve dinner tonight. I haven't done one of these videos in a long time. In the past, I used to do a video just documenting my New Year's Eve dinner. I usually like to do surf and turf for New Year's Eve. And I haven't looked at my videos in a while, but I don't think I've ever done a video when I was still living in this house, or when I moved to this house. I think my last New Year's Eve dinner video was probably posted in my apartment complex. But anyway, yeah, I like to do surf and turf, so I'm doing prime rib tonight. We're having a church fellowship tomorrow, so I decided to move my New Year's Eve dinner to tonight. So I got a prime rib. This I bought on sale at Publix back in Easter time when it was on sale, and it was $7 a pound, 5 pounds, standing rib roast with the ribs. I checked this year, or now, so that was April. That was April that I bought this. It's been in the freezer. I let it thaw out for a week. This year, this time around, their same Publix standing rib roast was $6 a pound, and it was $6.50 at Winn-Dixie. So it did come down in price from last April. And I let it thaw out in the refrigerator for a week, and then yesterday I salt and peppered it and covered it up and put it in the refrigerator for 24 hours. I'm following this French guy's way of doing this. I used to do it the what is it, sear and sit method, but it's a lot more controllable when you do the reverse sear method, they call it. Okay, I'm following that guy's directions for the tea, so I went out and bought clarified butter to brush on it instead of using regular butter, having to melt it down. But it's probably better to use regular butter because this stuff costs $8. And then basically he just puts this stuff on it and puts this herb de Provence on it. And that's it. Okay, this is the before. And I'm going to put it in the oven, set the oven to 250 degrees, put it in the oven, and take it out when it turns 120 degrees internal temperature. So what do you guys think about this Louis Rossman type shot? Actually, my hair is a little messy, so I'm not going to probably show you the video of this. But I did fly my drone today, so I'll overlay video from flying my drone today. So I went down to USF to fly at the dive gap spot. I don't like calling it what everyone else calls it, but I wanted to go there because last year, January 3rd, I keep on saying January. That's the second time I said that. December 31st was the last day of Paxember. I did Paxember last year. And I flew there. So I thought I would do it again this year, fly there this year, since, USF is closed, this week. But today, when I went January 31st, there was no one at US. I said January 31st again. When I went December 31st last year, there was no one there. When I went this year, when I went today, there was a lot of people there, but where that spot is, there was absolutely no one at that spot. And I stayed for 4 packs, and I didn't see one person in that whole area. But there was people kind of roaming around the college campus. I kind of regret that I didn't bring my one wheel, and I should have one wheeled around USF. That would have been fun. I'm also always afraid about getting a parking ticket at USF because there's no free parking. So I park in the D parking spot, which stands for daily. So it's a bit of a walk. And I just do that and hope that they don't check for that parking pass or whatever they had to do online. I did notice that when other people fly at that spot that they don't really care about that, and they park right next to that little courtyard area. But I don't know. I was in Orlando once, and I accidentally parked. This was back when I used to listen to the News Junkies, and they were giving out News Junkie magnets. They were giving out special edition News Junkie magnets at place in Orlando, so I had nothing to do. So I was like, oh, I'll just drive up there, go and get my magnet, and leave. And that's what I did. But I parked in a parking spot, and I didn't see any signs that said no parking. And I literally came back 5 minutes, and my car was up on a tow truck. And he said I was lucky because since I had my wheel cocked, he couldn't tow it. So he was hoping that he didn't. He was waiting a little bit to see if I came back before he tried to unlock my car door to move the steering wheel. So ever since then, so anyway, it cost $60, and there's actually a Florida law on that. If your car's getting towed and you approach the car, they have to give you an option to pay to drop it. So I gave him $60. He dropped it, and lesson learned. But ever since then, I've always been afraid of my car getting towed when I park. And yeah, you go to USF, it all says permit parking, and they have different levels of permit parking, I guess. But online, the D stands for daily, but you are supposed to pay online and like print out a voucher or something. But that's the second year I've been to USF, and didn't have any problems. Like I said, it wasn't like it was busy and the parking lots were jam packed. I didn't see anyone going around checking cars. But yeah, if I would have thought about that, I would have went around USF some. It seems like a pretty cool campus, and it would have been a cool spot to one wheel around. But I wasn't really thinking ahead. Tell you the truth, when I got up this morning, I didn't even feel like going flying. I haven't flown all week. I didn't even feel in the mood to drive down to Tampa there, but I was like, I had nothing else better to do, and I already had it in my mind that I was going to try to do that to kind of keep the tradition of at the end of the year flying at USF. So then I flew 4 packs there. I brought 4 packs with me. Let me do the count. Yeah, I brought 8 packs with me. I flew 4 packs there. 3 packs, I kind of played around with the whole area, tried to do, explore the whole courtyard area. The 4th pack, I decided to go on the side of the building and try doing these dive gaps that I think the only one I've ever seen do it was Billy Hackett. And there's like it's like these dive gaps of these metal things that have shades over the window, and there's 2 levels of them. So he dive gapped through both of them, and you don't realize how impressive that stuff is when you watch it on YouTube until you actually try to do it yourself. And I tried setting it up. I finally hit the dive gap but I only hit the first level. I didn't even try to go down to the second one. To do the second one, you gotta really have your quad falling completely straight down, which I'm not too good at that. So then after I left USF, I decided to fly this cross radio antenna that's by 75 that you see on 75. And so I went there. It was a Pentecostal church, which I have my opinions about them, which I'm not going to really get into. But basically, I would never, ever recommend anyone go into a Pentecostal church. But the interesting thing about the radio antenna was that the cross was missing one of its sides. I guess they must be working on it or something. So I wanted to go there to practice trippy spinning because I was trying to trippy spin a palm tree at USF, and I really couldn't do it too well. So as I'm pulling in, and I didn't realize this, it seemed like a big complex, but I guess they have a Christian school there too. But I didn't notice that, talking about parking signs, they had like, your car will be towed signs every like 30 feet. It was insane. I was like, man, this doesn't seem welcoming at all. And there was a couple cars there. I didn't see any there wasn't enough cars that I would say that they're having classes today. And so I pull there. I pull all the way in the back. They have a big parking lot, and I pulled all the way in the back where the cross was to set up. And I didn't see anyone. Like I said, I saw cars. And then as I throw my backpack on my hood and I was unpacking it. And as I was doing that, a car came up to me and said, "Hey, this is private property. This is a school. You can't be here." And I was like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that." And he goes, "Didn't you see all the signs?" And I was thinking to myself, "Well, yeah, I saw all the signs." But I just said, "Oh, I thought school wasn't in session today." So then, so that got busted. It's kind of funny when you go to a place thinking you're going to get busted, like USF, you think you would get busted because they have their own campus police and whatnot. You never get busted. No one ever says anything to you, USF. But you go to a place that you don't think you're going to get busted, and you get busted right away. It seems like it always works out that way. So then I remember seeing this cool high school from 75 around that same area, but it ended up still being like a 10-minute drive. So I looked at that place and I went there, and I'm really glad I went because even though there wasn't that much, the front of the building was really cool. It had all these dive gaps kind of, and it was still the dive gaps were small enough to feel challenging, but they weren't super small that I couldn't hit them like that dive gap on the side of the USF spot. So those are let's see, that's two places. Yeah, so those are the two places that the FPV videos you're seeing right now are taken from. And then I flew 2 packs there, and then I had 2 packs left. So on the way home, I've been trying to hit up this warehouse that's under construction that's never locked up. Like there's no fence around it, but whenever I go there, there's someone that, I mean, it's a humongous warehouse. And whenever I go there, they're always working on it. And that's the problem with this time of year, even though here in Florida, we can fly year round because of the weather. When the winter comes and, it gets dark at 5:30, all these places, people are working until like 6. So they're working into the dark. So you can't go there in the afternoons. So then on the way home, I just stopped at the travel center, which sometimes when I get bored and I just want a place to fly, there's a travel center between my exit and the next exit down. So I go down to the next exit, turn around, come back, and stop in the travel center and fly there. And no one really uses their picnic benches in the wooded area and stuff. So I burned my last 2 packs there, and then I came home and now I'm doing my New Year's Eve dinner. So that's pretty much all I had to say about that. It's funny. I did watch some of my Pack Summer videos from last year. It is kind of neat to know that I'm flying my same. The only thing different about my whole entire setup from last year, the only thing I changed is that frame, just because I couldn't get those stingy frames anymore. But it's kind of neat to know that I'm keeping with the same stack and same parts the whole year. And I kind of went crazy stacking up on parts after I couldn't find the stingy frames anymore. So I should have a ton of parts to keep those quads going for a while. But definitely after this new year, I'm going to get back onto my Questor frame project and get that up and running. And, there was a time, so right now I have 2 of the GRL frames, completely identical builds. And there was a time where I was breaking stuff constantly that I would go out and break both quads and come back and not have a quad to fly. So that's kind of what motivated me to make my own frame and then to get more quads in the air. So I kind of told myself, okay, I'll get 2 of my own frames up in the air, and then I'll have 4 quads in the air. And then eventually I'll just phase out the GRL frames. But ever since I started working on my Questor project, I haven't been breaking parts at all. And it's kind of insane that I didn't even change out any propellers at all today with all the flying I was doing. Now, the thing about when I was at USF, I was being very reserved because I was completely by myself, and I noticed that when I'm by myself, I don't break as many parts as if when I'm with, well, actually the only other person I fly with is pretty much Stacy. It seems like when I'm with Stacy, I always break something, but when I'm by myself, I usually don't break anything. But yeah, I was kind of happy that I flew at a really technical spot today, and I didn't turn my quad back into a kid at all. But you know, you can always push yourself harder. Like I said, if I really wanted to, I could have stayed the rest of the evening there and tried to hit that dive gap on the side of the building, but I would have broken my quad. So, but I always think that's funny is as soon as I started, I bought the CNC machine. As soon as I started doing the whole frame project, all this work and stuff, and now it seems like I'm not breaking stuff as often, and I'll have plenty of parts that last me for a while. You see, for a while there, I was breaking so many parts and my stacks are obsolete. You can't get the ESCs anymore. You can't get the flight controllers anymore. So, and you can't even get the DJI Vista cameras anymore. Although I actually never have broken a DJI Vista camera on my setups. And I've sunk Vistas several times, I never had a problem recovering a Vista being sunk. And that's even when I don't do any sort of type of protection on the Vista. I only do protection on conformal coat the flight controllers and ESCs and the rest of electronics. The Vistas, they survive sinking. But I've only dumped my quads. I forget how many water landings I've had. It's either 5 or 6. I calculated it once. I've only dunked my quads in fresh water. I never dunked them in salt water. But yeah, and that's another factor of why I haven't switched to the O3 air unit. I don't think the O3 air unit is for me. For what I do, it's really not for me. But another reason I haven't switched is because my Vistas have been so bulletproof that I don't want to switch to anything else because I don't know how reliable that O3 is as the Vistas are. But I have quite a bit of parts hoarded up to keep it going, because after I got pinned in the corner several times, not being able to get parts to keep my setup going, I decided, when I figured out what I like to fly, I decided that I was going to buy a whole bunch of parts. Like I already have a whole bunch of parts for my new setup, Questor, because I bought them when they were on sale for Black Friday. But and I haven't even gotten that quad back up. Haven't even gotten that quad flying yet. But yeah, so that's going to be a project. And then once I get the Questor project down, I'm going to do 2 different videos. I'm going to do one video where I talk about the CNCing process, so that way I have a reference video to whenever I want to cut carbon fiber on my CNC machine, I can go back to my own video and reference how I did it, because there's a lot of little things that you kind of forget when you don't do it constantly. And then the other video I'm going to make is I'm going to make a video doing a detailed Questor build from scratch and kind of pointing out the little like idiosyncrasies of my build to try to make it perfect. I'm trying to make the Questor build to be nice and neat, easy serviceable, and nothing. I don't want anything on the build to look janky. My GRL frames, the way I have the all-in flight controller with the individual ESCs, it's kind of janky. So I wanted to get rid of that feeling with my Questor build. So those are the videos that will come out for that. But really what's going to happen is, oh yeah, and then I guess 3 videos, because once I get my Questor build up in the air, I want to really baby it, get it tuned and up in the air and flying. And then I'll make a video just explaining my design concepts for the frame And then after that, I'm gonna really fly it all the time and really bash it to see what the weak points are, so I can try to continuing making revisions to make it more stronger. And then another thing I made this year for Christmas, I like personally making gifts for Christmas. I made all my gifts on the CNC machine, which was a lot harder than what I imagined. So I definitely need to do some work on the CNC machine. I got to true it up. So I might do a video going through that process, truing it up. And even the spindle like kind of turned a little bit. So I definitely need to make a lot of adjustments on the CNC machine before I cut anything again. I didn't realize how much there is to that. There's so many factors in it. It's a whole trade pretty much. I mean, I guess there's people who that's what their trade is. They're CNC machine operators. Other videos, I am motivated to work on Pizza Cam again. So coming into the new year, I'm going to continue doing that and finally get them finished. And I need to I'm probably going to make a video trying to get my jet ski running after it hasn't ran for 3 years. And then my dad's motorcycle, I can't get started. It turns over, it won't fire at all. It's not even trying to fire. So I don't know if it's the ignition, if it's a spark plug. I kind of Google searched that Honda 250 CRF 250L to see what other people were saying, and there's really no one with problems. Although someone said that the batteries, you had to have good batteries in them because the ignition is really finicky if the battery's not strong. So it is a bit of an older battery, so I don't know if that's it. So I'll probably make a video just kind of troubleshooting that. But yeah, going on into this new year, I'm going to try to start filming more things. Lately, I've been doing things I just haven't feel like filming them because I don't think a lot of people realize how much effort it takes to film something. If you're working on a project and you're filming it, you're constantly having to stop your project to like move the camera, turn the camera on and off. Is the audio good? Are the batteries charged? So it really slows down the project. But I'm kind of motivated right now to make more YouTube videos. So I'm going into the new year, I'm going to try to be more productive about that. Another thing is it's funny, I mentioned this in my last video, I think with the McRib, and then I forgot I mentioned it, and then my friend Tom asked me about it, and I totally gave up. I totally gave up on any sort of type of diet recently, but after the new year, I am going to go back to like only drinking water and unsweet tea, like no drinkable calories, and try to limit my sugar intake because it just makes you feel better when you do that. So it makes it, once you reach that state where you're not relying on sugar, it makes you feel better. But until you reach that state, you don't feel better. Like for me, I guess it's more like a comfort food thing. For me, I get joy out of eating, which I know sounds bad. So it's hard to reach that state of where you break that barrier and you realize that you actually enjoy eating healthier. So I'm going to try to break that barrier again the first of the year. It's kind of hard to exercise because, like I said, it gets dark at 5:30, and I usually wake up at 4, so you only have like an hour and a half of light. But yeah, I thought I would just put a little rambling here since it's the end of the year. Overall, I feel really blessed with everything going on in my life. I have no complaints. As my good friend says, I'm doing better than I deserve. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for the flapping. I guess we'll, I don't know how long I went, but hopefully long enough to show you all my flight footage from today. And I guess we'll move back on to the New Year's Eve dinner portion of the video. Okay, it's nearly 7 o'clock, and the internal temperature is 111 degrees. So once it gets 120, I'll pull it out and let it sit for 45 minutes. But I'm getting a little restless, getting a little hungry, so I think I'm going to do my lobster. I've never done lobster like this. So it's either $10 for one lobster pre-cooked or $10 for a lobster tail. So I chose this. I put it in the freezer. I messed up. I should have put it in the refrigerator. And then I decided to do it in here instead of boil it. So I'll pressure cook it and see how this turns out. And I'll probably just eat it separate before I eat my prime rib. Okay, it's 7:17 and it reached 120. Now I'm going to cover it, let it sit for 45 minutes. And this just stopped. I don't know if I should naturally let it release or what. Whoa, we got a leaker, mama. Okay, I think I'm just going to heat up some butter and start tearing into this and seeing how it goes. I just want to brag a little bit that I got this whole piece of meat out. I don't know if the bone... There's still bone in there, but I'm going to eat it off the bone. Bone came right off. It tastes good, to be honest. The texture... Oh, the texture's fine. Maybe the tiniest bit rubbery. I don't know. I've never had a lobster claw before. This is the first time I only had lobster tails. I never had a whole lobster. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and eat this. Okay, that lobster was pretty good. I would do that again if they went back on sale. Okay, so now it's the final countdown. 500 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 minutes. Now... He said to re-smolder in butter, but I don't have soft butter because I don't plan ahead. So I'm just going to stick a butter on there and stick it in and see what happens. When I do that, I'm always afraid that I'm going to delaminate my glasses because I was in the eye doctor place once. And a guy was in there getting his lenses changed out, and he claimed that he delaminated the anti-glare coating by opening up the oven door and the heat hitting his face. That's how you know when it's good. When the smoke detector goes off. The smoke detector always goes off ever since I bought the house. Because it's like right there. Is that how you can tell that it's good? Okay, it's been 10 minutes, and definitely my fire alarm's going to go off after this. So let's see what it looks like. Okay, so that's the first slice. One thing I like about prime rib is that it heats up really good. I mean, you just put it in the toaster oven for 5 minutes and it heats up really good. So, yeah, that's my surf and turf New Year's Eve dinner. I'm just making some Bob Evans garlic mashed potatoes and a little horseradish sauce, and that'll be it.